The art world tells us we need a signature style in order to succeed. But what if that's the very thing that's holding us back? If you're new here, I'm Tarra. I'm an artist and holistic teacher, and today we're talking about something that's been on my mind lately: finding your art style. Or maybe I should say, why you can't find it, and why that might actually be a good thing. For years, I felt like I was on this endless search. I'd create portraits one day, abstract art the next, and then switch to animal sketches for the art classes I teach. It was frustrating, confusing, and honestly, it made me question if I was even a real artist. Like, I really struggle with this concept of finding your art style, and if you resonate with this, let me know in the comments so that I know I'm not the only one. I first want to address the pressure that comes from the art world, social media, maybe even well-meaning friends and family. They all seem to push this idea that to be successful, you need a distinctive and consistent style. It's like they're asking us to limit our creativity to fit into a neat, marketable package. And don't even get me started on gallery representation and licensing deals. It often feels like if you don't fit their idea of marketable, you're out of luck. It's frustrating, it's unfair, and I believe it goes against the very nature of what it means to be an artist. But here's what I've learned on my journey. We're constantly evolving as people. Our experiences, emotions, and interests change over time. Our art should be allowed to change with us, right? I remember reaching out to an artist I admire for guidance. She shared valuable information about breaking out of my teacher's influence and establishing my own look. She gave me homework to make my work look more sophisticated, and it helped, but it also made me realize something important. Finding your art style isn't about following someone else's rules or fitting into a predefined mold. It's about self-discovery. It's allowing your essence to shine through your work. The truth is, not finding your style might actually mean you're growing as an artist, because a fixed style can sometimes be a box. And it's okay if your art doesn't fit neatly into one. You know, when I look at history of famous artists, I find their artistic journey fascinating. Take artists like Alma Thomas, Georgia O'Keeffe, Pablo Picasso, and Mark Rothko. Before they became known for their signature styles, they explored various forms of art. What's really interesting is how their work evolved over time. These artists eventually became known for particular styles that deeply resonated with their audience. But I can't help thinking about their artistic journey beyond what's displayed in museums. Did they continue experimenting with different styles privately? How did their art evolve behind the scenes? It's fascinating to think about how artists balance personal exploration with the styles that connect most with their audience. This makes me think about musicians too. Take Andre 3000, for example. When he released New Blue Sun, it was completely different from the hip-hop we know him for. Instead of rapping, it's full of instrumental and flute-based tracks. The public had mixed reactions. Some were upset, saying he should stick to what he's known for. All this makes me wonder, does the pressure to find your style actually limit us as artists? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Do you ever feel boxed in by what you think the market or your audience expects from you? It's easy to fall into the trap of trying to please everyone, family, friends, galleries, you name it. But I've come to realize that our true style shines through when we create for those who understand our work. It's not about winning everyone over. It's about connecting deeply with our true audience. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should ignore what sells, especially if you want to make a living from your art. And if that's the case, then you have to consider what the market wants. That's where I am right now. And what I've been doing is making art that lights me up inside, but also spending some time on pieces I know will sell. This way, I'm taking care of business, but also feeding my creative soul. But when you make art you truly love, I feel like it often ends up being your most unique and marketable work because of your passion. People can feel that. So instead of stressing about finding a specific style, what if we focused on creating work that's both marketable and makes us come alive? I think it's about finding that sweet spot where what we love to create meets what people love to buy. The other day I was digging through my closet and found an old painting of mine. It was a figure piece all decked out with blings, beads, and textures. and I decided it was finally time to complete this piece and put it up for sale. The thought of working on it felt like my inner child was coming out to play, because this was the old way that I used to paint. I always loved painting portraits and body figures, but I prefer to keep them for myself. It made me realize something important. We have these seasons in our art just like we have seasons in life. Sometimes you might want to do abstract art, and other times you might be drawn to painting birds and butterflies, and that's okay. This experience got me thinking about what we call our peak experiences as artists. Instead of stressing over finding our art style, how about we focus on these moments when we feel fully alive while creating? Can you remember a time like that? Where were you? What were you going through? How did it make you feel? Did it seem like there was a presence or force supporting you? Really let yourself sink into that memory. For me, working on this old painting was a peak experience for me. It allowed my inner child to come out to play, but it also made me reflect on my journey into abstract work. My abstract paintings are connected to my story, maturation, and evolution as a person. There's a reason why I started doing abstract paintings. It's more about healing and expressing deeper and more complex emotions. This realization helped me see how our journey as artists isn't linear. We can have different peak experiences that speak to different parts of ourselves, and it's part of our growth as artists. So ask yourself, how can you use that feeling from your peak experience in your work right now? Does that energy help you overcome some of the blocks and resistance you've been feeling? When we shift our focus from finding our style to connecting with what makes us come alive, something magical happens. We start creating work that's more authentic and powerful. So instead of asking, what's my style? Try asking, what do I want to say with this piece? What inspired me to create this? What about this process makes me feel alive? These questions will lead you to create work that's uniquely yours, regardless of whether it fits into a particular style or not. It's not about changing your voice or who you are, and your style isn't something you find. It's something you create. It's something that emerges over time through practice, experimentation, and yes, even failure. And it's a journey. Every piece you create is a step on that journey. It's okay if your work looks different from one day to the next, because it's a reflection of who you are in that moment. So trust yourself and know that your style will find you as you continue creating. So the next time you find yourself frustrated thinking you can't find your style, remember this: you're not supposed to find it. You're supposed to create it, to let it evolve, and to let it be as dynamic and multifaceted as you are. So embrace your artistic seasons, trust your creative instincts, and keep creating. And if you're dealing with family and friends who don't support your art, don't worry, you're not alone. This ties into what we've been talking about with expectations and finding your true audience. I've actually made a video that goes deep into why this happens and what you can do about it. It really builds on what we've talked about here. So make sure you check out the next video. I'll see you there.